Fun, short, but not worth it. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Pablo, where he took 5-bromo DMT, 4-HO-MET, and cannabis. And here's the full report details. Alright, well, we got quite a unique report here today. This is the first time we're talking about 5-bromo DMT, a naturally occurring psychedelic that can actually come from a few species of sea sponges. You may have heard of this before, but this is a pretty rare substance, and it's definitely time we had a report on it. And this report by Pablo is the second one he sent in now. The first one, Electric Love, is one where he took MDA, 4-HO-MET, and cannabis. That was a beautiful experience, and I highly recommend you go check it out, as 4-HO-MET seems to be a favorite of his. And 4-HO-MET is also pretty rare. It's also a tryptamine with the name of Matocin. We have a good handful of reports with this already, and effects are comparable to that of psilocybin. 5-bromo DMT, on the other hand, seems to be somewhat in its own world, notably providing a dissociative psychedelic sedation for many. But we'll break down 5-bromo DMT more in a future video. For now, we'll get a look at how this trip can go. I'm sure you'll enjoy this report, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. Hello, this is a short trip report of when I tried 5-bromo DMT. My friend and I have learned about 5-bromo DMT, the psychedelic of the ocean, from a lady who my friend met at an ayahuasca ceremony. She said it was the psychedelic of the ocean and that it comes from sea sponges who live at the bottom of the sea. 5-bromo DMT has been described as a rather mild psychedelic with very few visual or tactile effects. Despite the low intensity, we still wanted to give it a try. So we started looking to buy it online. It was quite easy to find, as a somewhat local vendor recently acquired some in the fumarate salt form. A few days later, the substance arrived, in the form of a nearly pure white powder, and we settled on a date to try it. The dose and route of administration was something we had debated for quite a while. Since the substance came in a salt form, we would not have been able to smoke it effectively. So, since we wanted maximum effects, we decided to insufflate, snort, the powder. We also decided to just split the powder between us so we could take the highest dose possible to get maximum effects. So, when the day came, we met up at my friend's house and put the powder into lines so we could snort it, and, hopefully, trip some balls. I was to go first, so I found a small cardboard tube, put my nose on one end, and the powder on the other, and inhaled as deeply as I could. The powder flew up my nose quite easily, and it honestly felt like nothing. Shortly after, my one eye started watering and turned bloodshot, and my nose started burning like it had never burned before. My entire right sinus passage was on fire and felt like it was melting and cut up with glass. My brain started tingling, and all I could taste was this sour and bitter chemical taste. I ran to the bathroom in a desperate attempt to wash the chemical out of my sinus. I didn't even care if I got less effects. I just wanted the burning to stop. After around 10 minutes, the intense burning subsided, and it was replaced with a very relaxing and sedating feeling. Everything looked more real, and in higher definition. It looked and felt a little like coming up on MDMA, but much less intense and less euphoric. I lay down on the bed and didn't feel like I was in my body anymore. I felt like I was floating out of my body, but I still knew I was on the ground and not floating. I closed my eyes and saw complete black, like I was floating in a void. It was very peaceful and quite enjoyable, but this was as intense as it got. I was in a very good mood, and my body felt perfect. All my physical and emotional pain disappeared, and it was all pure bliss, although not very intense. We then smoked a joint, and the dissociative feeling grew somewhat more intense, and I felt quite a bit more sedated. We then had the urge to keep smoking, so we smoked a few more joints. But by that point, the 5-bromo DMT had basically completely worn off. After it wore off, I still had an urge to trip, so I took just over 50 milligrams of 4-HO-MET and tripped hard for the rest of the day. To sum it up, 5-bromo DMT provided quite a euphoric dissociative feeling, but nothing more. I don't think I will ever try it again, because it's not worth to try again, especially since snorting it was so painful and the high only lasted for an hour or two. I don't think it was a negative experience, but it's not something I would recommend, because there are much better substances to take. I feel like there is more potential if you take a higher dose and smoke the freebase form of the chemical, but the freebase form is very rare to come by, so I don't think that will happen anytime soon.